cart of it. Because, for some reason, even though Captain Planet was a huge US franchise.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Blast the Process. I'm your host, Lizstar, and I have with us mikwuyma. How you doing? I know it says Beatram on there, but that's because someone forgot to switch whoever the runner is.
I'm doing pretty well, and in case if you're falling asleep, because you might be watching all this game from the marathon, I have the perfect sound to wake you up. So brace your ears.
Oh, God.
Okay. Now I'm sure you're awake. Just in time for Captain Planet. Now, yeah, so this game doesn't really have electro farts, as we like to say in the Kuso community. This more has electric shrieks, because it's so shrill. And before I start the game, I'm going to show off the intro and a bit of lore, because it's really important. So, here's Gaia saying, "Please help my Planeteers rescue them from Zarm's 4 henchmen. Remember, Planeteer powers are for self-defense, not to kill living things. Mati will guide you with hints from Hope Island. Good luck." So yeah, since I won't be really showing this screen as I play the game, as you can see, you have the 4 Planeteers, and Mati is on the bottom, and he is the stage select. So if you're wondering what happened to Mati, don't worry, he's helping us select the stages, because really, what else is Hearts going to do in a Captain Planet video game? And let's see. And now that you know Mati's very important role in the game, we are going to start in 3, 2, 1, go. So, I have 2 splits in this game. There is not Captain Planet and Captain Planet, and that is because the stages you get are entirely random, and so is the Planeteer. This means that all the Planeteers play exactly the same, and I actually get the shortest stage first. There's no real benefit to the order you get the stages. Okay, I'm playing it a little extra safe here because I got delayed here. If you don't collect a health, you run the risk of actually dying in the stage. And because there's no checkpoints, dying means you restart the stage. Oh, wow, I might actually die anyway. Okay, I'm fine. Oh, wow! I died. That was really weird. That's fine. It's not a huge time waster in this stage. If I'm gonna die in a stage, this is the quote-unquote safest stage to die in. What's really weird there is that I actually killed off the last computer, but the game just decided not to trigger the end sequence quickly enough so that I would be invincible. Yeah, and as I said before, this game doesn't really have electro farts, it has electro shrieks, and of course this time I end up with plenty of health. So this boss is kind of interesting. Her weak spot is really weird. You have to hit her in her pink pants. Because that's the only part that's not protected by all the machinery. And so there we go. Oh, come on. Let me hit it. And it's a bit RNG, whether you get a chance to hit her constantly or not. She's not playing super cooperatively, but there's very little chance you'll die here. And as you can see, the best death animation, the merry-go-round. Or the Ferris wheel. And, okay. This is the hardest stage in the game. There's a lot of undodgeable damage here, and you just have to basically carry on through, just tank through it to really get through this stage. I mean, technically you can dodge it, but you have to slow down a lot not to take any damage here. And I made that cycle, which is good. I do want to kill off that little UFO-esque thing right there, which I'm not sure will happen. Because I do want as much health as possible for this stage. Okay, good. I killed it off. Because there's just a lot of damage you'll take going through this stage. And it's worth noting that even the water hurts me. Because even though it looks pretty crystal clear blue to me, but I don't know. Captain Planet? And I'm not Captain Planet yet. Oh, come on, let's get on this platform. Good. That's good. Oh. I'm gonna want to hit the UFO again so I can collect some health. The UFOs in this game are a little weird because you don't actually... It doesn't matter how many times you hit them, it matters where you hit them. So you have to hit all of the little pods in the bottom of the UFOs. And I did actually need to take time there because, as you can see, I'm taking a lot of damage going through this stage. And if I don't take the damage, then I just have to slow down a lot. Dihydrogen monoxide. Thanks, Brosensure. Oh, and there's another little blue planet. This is definitely a stage I don't want to die on because the checkpoint is pretty far back, and as you might notice, I could actually damage boost on the bottom here, but that's actually not a good idea because the electricity takes off half a globe of my health. It is worth noting that the energy on top is my health. And you might be wondering, hey, I've heard of Captain Planet, but I've never heard of this game, and that's because this game is actually a PAL exclusive release. It was released in Europe, and it was released in Brazil, to my knowledge. And there's actually a 95% complete US beta, so and it's pretty much the exact same game, except there's no text in between stages, and you don't get health pickups on the final level. So that's why I'm playing the completed PAL version right here. This boss, you have to hit him in the front a bunch of times, wait until I get to the right side so I can damage boost like that, hit the fuel tanks, and just make sure that I kill off all the fuel tanks, and we're good. So this is the longest level. It's not a difficult level, it's just very long. It's kind of like a labyrinth, except you can... these rooms with the brick walls are kind of like in 4 quadrants. This is the quote-unquote bottom quadrant. And if it looks like I don't know where, how to navigate through the brick rooms, that's because the pipes are actually randomly arranged on power on. So I actually don't know the exact layouts of the pipes. I just know that they've never prevented me from completing the game before. And so now I'm going into the kind of right quadrant of the sewer level. So what the game tells you is that there are 4 rooms, and there are pipes in each room, but it doesn't specify how many pipes. There's actually 2 pipes per room, and if you miss one, you're going to have to backtrack all the way back so you can shut off the valve. And you have to make sure the valves stop, and you can tell when they drop an item like that. I don't know if I'll be able to maneuver through that way, so... take the down route. Down route's a little slower, but it is guaranteed. So that is a jump that looks like can be made, but I've never been able to make it to squeeze through there, so we just have to kind of navigate through the pipes like this. And as I was saying, this game is PAL exclusive. There is a mostly completed US ROM, and I'm not sure why this game was not released in the US. Captain Planet was a lot more popular in the US than it was in Europe, although I heard it was actually shown in Europe and Australia, even though it wasn't terribly popular there. And I don't know, maybe there's a Sega seal of quality that's stronger in North America than there is in Europe, and Europe's just like, okay, we're okay with having a crummy Captain Planet game with electro shrieks everywhere.
Was Captain Planet even that popular over there? I know it was really in America.
To my knowledge, it was not.
That seems like such a weird.
Oh, and I just shaved
idea.
a rat because, you know, we're to use our powers for self-defense, so we shave rats and make sure they freeze to death instead of, you know, killing them outright. But yeah, it is very strange that this is a PAL exclusive release, and now we're on to the final quadrant, which is the easiest quadrant to get to because you basically just walk left. And you're right there. I thought this would be a very difficult stage to route, but because of the way it's laid out, it's actually pretty easy to route once you figure out that there's basically 4 quadrants to the stage. Oh, I got some pretty crummy pipe layouts. One part of running this game, well, is not dying like I did in the first stage, and it's also just like RNG. Like, RNG and pipe layouts can cost you anywhere from 5 to 15 seconds, depending how bad they were. These were pretty bad. And this is the one mid-boss that has no iframes. This is the most annoying boss in the game. It's not really a difficult boss, it's just a very hard boss to hit. Come on. So, you need to hit the windshield, the gun, and the tail in the back. And I'm only down to the tail in the back, but... Okay, I got it. So, that was actually a really fast fight. And now we're down to the last stage, which is the uranium mine, which is a pretty short stage with a somewhat annoying boss. And I don't know if I mentioned this earlier, but it's worth noting, since the Planeteers are randomized, they all play exactly the same. The only difference is the color of their shots and their sprites. They're all faceless, because obviously, you know, the parts of the Planeteers combined are greater when they're combined into Captain Planet! Huh, yeah, so Captain Planet was pretty popular, I guess, internationally. I didn't know that. From what little research I did, they said it wasn't too popular in Europe, but maybe I'm wrong. And this stage is pretty simple. You just have to take out all the machinery. It's basically the 3 rows on the right, and then there's 3 rows on the left, and then at the top row on the left is the boss. And that door unlocks once you destroy all the machinery. Oh, okay, come on. Okay, there, we got rid of that. I have plenty of health for the boss. So unlike the last boss, this boss has iframes, and you want to be in his face, so he always backs off and doesn't move to the right after you hit him a bunch. He also is nice enough to drop off some health, and you see you want him to trigger that elevator more quickly. And this boss is also a bit of RNG, and you just push down the uranium rods. Like, there's no other way to describe this. This is actually fairly fortunate RNG, because on the bottom, I don't have to push down all the rods, which is actually pretty common. It does look like on the top, I will have to push down some rods. And if you're wondering, why aren't I horizontal jumping? I've tried that, and I usually just miss, or I only bounce on the rod once. So it's just easier to walk up to it and do that. That was actually a really good boss fight. And now we are on to Captain Planet. So what? Oh, and that was Duke Nukem, by the way. That is actually his name.
Yeah, I was about to say, that's Duke Nukem, right?
Yes, that is Duke Nukem. Sure. Before he was popular, he was slumming it in Captain Planet.
I was just making sure.
And I guess Apogee DOS games, but you know. Alright, so this stage is the final stage. It's notable because you're kind of playing a shmup, but you can fire in all 8 directions. And it's really annoying because even though you turn quickly, you don't fire in the direction you turn instantly. So sometimes it'll look like I'm firing in the wrong direction, and I'm not doing that on purpose. It's because the controls in this are pretty bad. And the controls are very twitchy. You can move in 8 directions, but you can only aim in 6 of them. You can't shoot diagonally. You can't shoot straight up or down. And I'm collecting that health for a reason. Okay, and it's worth noting that if I get hit by one of those green globs, if I'm in the air, I have to wash it off in the water, which makes sense. You know, gotta wash off your hair in the water. If I'm in the water, I have to dry it off in the air? Because Captain Planet? And taking pollution down to 0? But yeah, you'll see him washing his hair when I get hit by that. You probably didn't see it for very long. And I'm not... And you might notice that I'm taking care of some of these guys in 3 shots, and that's because I have a shotgun shot that I want to finish these things off with. But there's a slight cooldown, because you don't have ammo anymore. You just have a miles counter, which is basically a timer. And so when you fire off your shotgun shot, it has a cooldown, so you want to make sure it finishes off, or else you have to wait a while. And the reason, and I actually did that in pattern, so I would have very minimal times triggering this sequence, because you're always forced to go up to this position in this sequence. And I know there's a lot of people talking in chat, but the irony of this game is that as unserious as it is, there's always action going on, so I can't really like look at chat very often during this game. But don't worry, I'll be able to answer all those burning questions you have about a PAL-only Captain Planet release. It is worth noting that the developer of this game is Nova Logic, and who were probably their biggest claim to fame, if you can call it one, was that they were going to create the sequel to Hotel Mario for the Philips CDI, but then Nintendo saw all those Philips CDI games and they were like, maybe we should keep our Mario and Zelda in-house. And the reason why I'm doing this is that you might see those green like drops popping through. I don't want to get hit by any of those, because then I have to go all the way back down to the water. So I'm just constantly firing up here and at an angle where I'm very unlikely to get hit by those. There is still a chance those can hit me. And now I'm just going to risk it because there's only like 2 or 3 left. So.
Apparently, they also made the Rocketeer for the Super Nintendo.
They did make the Rocketeer for the Super Nintendo. That was their first game. That game
looks like hot garbage.
It is really bad, yes. And time.
GG.
I'm guessing my time since I died in the beginning was about, like, either a high 13 minutes or a low 14 minutes.
14:11.
That's a pretty good time for dying once, because that cost at least, I want to say, 45 or 50 seconds. My record
What's
for this,
the world record?
The record is a 12:51. It's by me. There's no speedrun.com page for this, because I'm like, no one cares about this game. And I don't really feel like maintaining a page.
Please.
Well, if you want to maintain the page, then I can submit it.
I will absolutely maintain this page for you.
Oh, and it's worth noting that I was playing in hard, but I actually have no clue what the difficulties do. I was just like, I'm going to play on hard because hard mode's the only mode I'm like. And I tried easy once. I'm like, I don't really notice the difference. But yeah, it's a pretty like, you know, amusing game for what it is, because like I don't know why this wasn't released in America. Like that's the
definitely
thing that really baffles me, because Captain Planet back in the early 90s was all the rage.
This is definitely the most anyone's thought about this game in the past decade.
Yeah, definitely. Or even during its development, or you know, like.
Well, has it been on Cuso Grande?
No, actually, it has not been on Cuso Grande. It was in the Big Bad Game-a-thon. That's it.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I remember that.
No, this is not a new world record. My record is a 12:51. It's not super optimized, but I would say it's at least decent enough that someone would actually have to put in a decent amount of effort to beat it. And that is Captain Planet.
All right. Thank you so much, Mike. We'll be right back. Everyone, thank Mike. He'll be going away. Next up, we have Mike with Ernest Evans, the classic, the famous, the legendary Ernest